What is contract negotiation? Every contract represents an agreement that one or both parties could have walked away from. What happens between the opening position and the signed agreement is contract negotiation, and how skillfully it is conducted determines the value, risk, and relationship quality of everything that follows. In the next few minutes, we will explore the principles and practices of professional contract negotiation. Let's get started. Contract negotiation is the structured process through which parties to a contract reach agreement on terms that serve their respective interests through a combination of preparation, strategy, and collaborative problem-solving. Contract negotiation spans the phases from preparation and strategy through negotiation and agreement. Preparation is the phase that most determines negotiation outcomes. Understanding your own interests, the underlying needs behind each position, enables flexible negotiation. Analyzing the other party's likely interests enables empathic problem-solving. Calculating your BATNA, best alternative to a negotiated agreement, defines the minimum acceptable outcome. Opening establishes the anchoring effect that shapes the entire negotiation. Research consistently shows that initial proposals exert strong pull on final outcomes. Skilled negotiators open with ambitious but justifiable positions, present them with confidence, and frame the negotiation in terms that emphasize the value of the proposed agreement. Bargaining is the core phase of concession exchange. Effective bargaining makes concessions strategically. Each concession is conditional on a reciprocal move, smaller than the previous one, and accompanied by a value statement about what you are giving up. Unconditional concessions signal weakness and invite further demands. Difficult issues often require creative problem-solving that goes beyond the standard position trading dynamic. Identifying underlying interests, what each party truly needs rather than what they initially said they wanted, opens possibilities for mutually beneficial solutions that neither party would have proposed independently. Closing confirms all agreed terms explicitly and prevents subsequent scope creep or selective memory about what was agreed. Skilled negotiators summarize agreements immediately, follow up with written confirmation, and ensure the negotiation outcome is accurately reflected in the contract language. These four terms define the essential vocabulary of professional contract negotiation. BATNA is your negotiating power. The stronger your BATNA, the better the alternative if this negotiation fails, the stronger your negotiating position. Preparation must include explicitly identifying and, where possible, strengthening your BATNA before negotiation begins. A party who desperately needs the agreement will make unnecessary concessions. A party with a strong alternative can negotiate confidently. Win-win negotiation does not mean each party gets everything they want. It means both parties achieve their core interests within an agreement that is sustainable and that they both want to honor. Win-lose agreements, where one party extracts maximum value at the other's expense, generate resentment, performance problems, and relationship damage that undermine the contract's value over time. Principled negotiation, developed by Fisher and Urey at Harvard, provides the most comprehensive framework for professional contract negotiation. Its four principles: separate people from problems, focus on interests not positions, generate options for mutual gain, and insist on objective criteria, transform adversarial positional bargaining into collaborative problem-solving. Understanding the ZOPA tells you whether an agreement is possible and what shape it might take. If your minimum acceptable terms and the other party's minimum acceptable terms overlap, there is a ZOPA and an agreement is achievable. If they do not overlap, either the negotiation fails or one or both parties must find ways to expand the pie, creating value that makes agreement possible. Effective contract negotiation follows a disciplined process from preparation through agreement. Professional contract negotiation follows 5 phases from preparation through closing. Preparation is the most neglected and most important phase of contract negotiation. It involves analyzing your own interests and priorities, identifying the other party's likely interests and constraints, calculating your BATNA and estimating theirs, identifying all issues to be negotiated, and developing your opening position and movement strategy for each. Planning translates preparation into a negotiation strategy. It determines the opening position for each issue, the sequence of issues to be discussed, the concessions you are prepared to make and in what order, the trades you will seek, and the tactics you will use to manage difficult moments. A negotiation without a plan is improvised bargaining at a significant disadvantage. Opening establishes the context and anchoring effect for the entire negotiation. Confident, justified opening positions that are ambitious but credible set a favorable frame. Skilled openers explain the rationale for their position in terms of objective criteria, market data, industry benchmarks, precedent, rather than just asserting what they want. Bargaining is the dynamic exchange of the negotiation. Each movement should be conditional, smaller than the previous, and accompanied by explicit acknowledgement of its value. When progress stalls, reframe the issue in terms of underlying interests, introduce packages of trades across multiple issues simultaneously, or call for a break to allow reframing. Closing captures the agreed outcome before it can unravel. Skilled closers summarize all agreements explicitly, test for genuine commitment rather than just verbal agreement, and follow up immediately with written confirmation. The negotiated terms must be accurately reflected in the final contract language, which is itself a negotiation that requires careful attention. Effective contract negotiation follows a disciplined process from preparation through agreement and documentation. Preparation is the determinant of negotiation quality. Negotiators who prepare thoroughly, analyzing interests, calculating BATNA, developing opening positions, and planning movement strategies, consistently achieve better outcomes than those who rely on in-the-moment improvisation. The time invested in preparation always yields a return in the negotiation room. Opening sets the tone and anchoring frame for the entire negotiation. Ambitious but justified opening positions that are presented with confidence and backed by objective rationale achieve better outcomes than modest openings made from a desire to seem reasonable. The anchor effect is real. Opening positions exert persistent pull on final outcomes. Exploration moves beyond positions to interests, the underlying needs and constraints that each party's position is designed to address. When two parties are stuck on incompatible positions, exploring interests often reveals that different positions can satisfy the same interest, or that creative packaging of multiple issues can create value for both parties simultaneously. Bargaining converts the interests identified in exploration into agreed terms. The discipline of conditional concession making, if you can do X, we can move on Y, ensures that every movement generates reciprocal value. Unconditional concessions are a negotiating mistake that signals willingness to give more without receiving anything in return. Closing and documentation prevent the value created in negotiation from leaking away in subsequent contract drafting. Every agreed point should be confirmed verbally, captured in meeting notes immediately, and verified in the contract language before signature. Ambiguous contract language that contradicts the negotiated intent is a major source of post-execution disputes. Skilled contract negotiation protects organizational interests and creates stronger business relationships. Organizations with skilled contract negotiators achieve better terms, stronger relationships, and fewer disputes. Systematic preparation and disciplined negotiation strategy consistently produce better commercial outcomes than ad hoc bargaining. Organizations that invest in negotiation capability, training, process, and preparation tools achieve measurably better pricing, payment terms, performance standards, and risk allocation than those that rely on individual improvisation. Contract risk allocation, liability caps, indemnification, force majeure, termination rights, is determined in negotiation. Skilled negotiators understand the risk implications of proposed terms and negotiate risk allocation that reflects each party's ability to manage and mitigate the relevant risks. Poor negotiation produces contracts with unfavorable risk profiles that create significant exposure. Principled negotiation, focused on interests rather than positions, collaborative in problem-solving, and respectful of the relationship, produces agreements that both parties want to honor. This relational benefit compounds over time. Counterparties who feel respected and well-treated in negotiation become reliable, high-performing contract partners. Many post-execution contract disputes arise from ambiguities, misunderstandings about what was agreed, and terms that were not thought through in negotiation. Skilled negotiators who reach clear, explicit agreements on all material terms, and ensure those terms are accurately reflected in contract language. Prevent most of these disputes before they occur. The best contract negotiations do not just divide a fixed pie, they find ways to expand it. Understanding each party's underlying interests often reveals trades that create value for both. Extended terms in exchange for volume commitments, payment acceleration in exchange for price discounts, exclusivity in exchange for performance guarantees. These value-creating solutions are only possible when negotiators go beyond positional bargaining. The contrast between positional bargaining and principled negotiation reveals fundamentally different outcomes. Positional bargaining is the adversarial approach where each party stakes out an opening position and makes concessions under pressure until they reach an uncomfortable compromise. It treats negotiation as a zero-sum competition where one party's gain is the other's loss. It damages relationships, misses creative value creation opportunities, and often produces agreements that neither party fully implements. Principled negotiation separates the people from the problem, focuses on underlying interests rather than positions, generates creative options for mutual gain, and uses objective criteria to evaluate proposed terms. It treats negotiation as collaborative problem-solving. The result is agreements that are better for both parties, more durable, and supported by relationships that enhance performance. Let us close with the 4 most important ideas from this overview of contract negotiation. Ready to negotiate contracts more effectively? The full Udemy course covers the complete negotiation process: preparation, strategy, opening, bargaining, and closing, with a detailed use case and practical templates. Click the link below to enroll. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe for more explainer videos. See you in the next one.